beyond the pond.
Narrow,
Yeah.
that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah,
So,
actually, when we were
so
there,
many
I
things
thought
are
that
coming
road went
together
through.
that are
Some of even the folklore to
verifying.
that is
Yes,
starting to be
exactly.
getting valid.
But you know, it's like folklore comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, legends
And it
come
can
from
be all
somewhere.
It can be some factual involved.
And we do know for sure that there was some type of native battle on this property because there's arrowheads in the case from that time period. And
burial grounds too.
And there is an Indian burial ground. Do not go over that hill. She will shoot you. I kid you not. She will shoot you for going on her property. But it was the townspeople versus the Indians. Over in Bradford, there is a really, really awesome cemetery. It's Corn Planter's grave. Are you familiar at all? Johnny Cash even did a song about him. And what happened is when they built Kinzu Dam, they had to move his and his people's graves so they wouldn't just wash away. Well, they might as well have washed away because they just like basically threw them in a container and just put all these bones in places without like complete bodies, except supposedly for Corn Planter. That place is so haunted, it's ridiculous. We went one summer night and it's like, oh, this is kind of bad because you can hear like a rushing brook, I guess you would call it, creek, you know, some body of water. Well, come to find out, there's no body of water. There's
hold that thought.
That was my next question about the pond. Is there a drain off of probably about that direction? Off the pond?
not that I'm aware of. I've not
Because
heard
there's
that.
running water over there. I
Yeah.
could
Oh,
hear
really?
it,
You both,
but I
all,
couldn't
all
see
of
it, and
us
there
could.
wasn't. I wasn't
Do
going
you recall
down through the brush.
running
We
water
can show you
stuff?
where it's at if you want, so you know.
With all
I'm
the
trying
Because
people
we
in-
all
I'm
heard
trying
it.
to think if Dan said
It's
something
gotta
to
be
that effect.
some.
But I mean, the way I could hear it, I was like, there's no clearing in vegetation
That
where
would
it was
show
running.
water.
Yeah, I don't remember. I stood out
So
there.
the power is out in Hinsdale right now. I called Nat Grid to report. They're saying it should be restored 8 to 10. Never mind, it's back. Too late, Dan.
Yeah, he said they lost the power. They had a couple lightning bolts and they lost the power. For
That was a wicked storm.
When we pulled in and seen the truck, I seen a really bright flash inside the woods behind the house.
I don't go in the woods. Don't go
I
in the
know
woods.
she always, but I thought it might have been, I didn't know the truck in there at the time, before somebody heard voices in here. It was like, I thought, it was like maybe somebody snuck back there, was taking a picture in the woods, like a flash, but it seemed too large for a flash. And of course they were in here working. As soon as we pulled in.
And I was looking in the truck, so I didn't see it.
Yeah, I was just like,
Oh,
did you
he
see
said yes,
that?
there is. He knew it. Okay. Well, I've never, I've been coming here since 1974 when it was all going on. And because I was,
And then you.
yeah, because I was a brat and I wanted to see a ghost, and so my friends and I would come out here and try to, be annoying. And then I moved all over the world and moved back in 2000. So I've been coming back since 2000. When I started coming back, the house was still yellow, it was dilapidated. It was before Bill had purchased it. And it really didn't have an awful lot of activity. I could feel discomfort. And when I came in the house, it was so awful. There was no electric, there was no heat. None of the furniture except this couch and the gold chair were there, and that trunk. The trunk is from the Dandies. But it was just barren, and it was just like I got so sick at my stomach looking up the stairs. At that point, I didn't know the story that Claire had written. And so, I could just feel that something wasn't right. And I never wanted to go in the woods, and I never wanted to go in the basement. Well, 2 years ago, I grew some, and I said, I think I'll go in the woods tonight. We had a whole group of hearing impaired, and I don't know what made me want to go that night. I've never gone, and I'll never go again, because we went up there, and Ed and Louise, do you know Ed and Louise? They were the tour guides that night. It was before I was even a key holder, and so I went up there, and I thought, this just doesn't feel right. Well, Ed had the geo box going, and we heard a gunshot, and I thought, just one. I thought, that's really weird. Why would there be a gunshot? So Holly, one of the hearing impaired, and she's dependent on sign language only, taps me on the shoulder, and she wanted to go down, I gotta get my bearings here, that way. So I said, yeah, I'll go. For some reason, we were both really compelled to head down that way. So we left everybody behind, excuse me, and we stopped. You know what, honestly, I couldn't even tell you anymore. All I know is we just kept going deeper and deeper, and we saw this big red and blue light. And she looked at me, and I said, oh, it must be the cars. I thought maybe somebody had some lights. And then I got to think about, wait a minute, the entrance to the hill is right across from the parking lot. That couldn't be the cars. We were way down. I think we even crossed the road that goes up over the hill. And all of a sudden, and it's so funny that Mike had said this about quicksand. It was like our feet were in quicksand and we could not move. And I tried to call out to Ed and Louise, and nothing would come out. And of course, God love her, she's completely mute. It wasn't like she could do anything either. And I'm like, and then all of a sudden, and I have no idea how long it lasted. It seemed like an eternity. It could have been 3 seconds, it could have been 10 minutes, but it turned loose. We ran back to Ed and Louise. I ran down that hill and I went home. I will never set foot in those woods again. I don't know what it was, but I'll tell you, I can't believe that I'm saying this, but it almost felt alien in nature. Like, not like, Mexicans without papers. I mean, alien.
I believe it.
Do you? I'm always open-minded to everything. Except church.
Huh. Yeah.
I don't do church. Church. But, I don't know. And I'll never go again. I was so terrified, and I've never been actually terrified at this house before. You'll never get me. So I'm not even gonna grow some and go in the basement ever.
When you think about it, you hear stories of all the times about people that are taken, and they're literally they're stuck in their bed and they can't move 1 minute, and the next minute they wake up and they don't
know where they are, where they've been.
Yeah, and even outside, like you see in the movies and stuff, those
Like in
tractor
a dream.
beams.
That's what happens
You know,
a lot
where
in a
you're
dream
just
when
stuck.
you just can't move, can't run.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
And
For
then the
me,
light
it was
too.
the lights that were so
Yes.
off-putting, because they look so normal. They look trustworthy. Well, it turns out that the day that we were up there, the guy who shot and killed his brother up there had gotten out of prison that very day. So it was really kind of freaky that gunshot would show up on the geo box that particular night. But they say he haunts the woods too. The guy
So
that,
you see with the
the
gun.
brother that was killed. Yeah. They've seen him with a rifle. So
You see her
this-
shoes?
they glow in the dark. Thanks.
Ghosts on them?
I told you I forgot to grow up.
Are we allowed to go in the basement?
Absolutely. This is your place tonight. You go anywhere you
Just don't
want,
go over the hill.
except over the hill.
And,
And you'll see where the offering tree is.
that's where I need to go because
yeah.
I made a dream catcher.
Aw.
So
There's a lot of stuff up there now. I've seen pictures. I won't witness.
Yeah, I have to get that noise because it's crazy.
Seems
It's-
like there was
it's
something else.
very
Let's see, I
obvious.
told you about the hanging. Told you about the puckwudgie.
The German fella.
Friedrich.
Question.
Sure.
I was telling Asa, I was picking up on this man's spirit, and to me he wasn't old, so I couldn't think it was Claire's husband. Mike
Bill.
died?
Phil,
Mike died, yes.
When did he die?
2 years ago in January.
you said Phil.
Yeah,
Oh,
Phil
well,
was the
he was
husband.
Oh, Phil was the husband,
I
okay.
picked up on a
Oh,
Phil
Phil
last
was the
night.
husband?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it
I
was
Like I
picked
said,
up on
I don't-
Mike. I mean, I picked up on his spirit, not his name. I knew his name.
I used to go in his room and I would get so deathly ill. But after he died, I can go in there without a problem. It's almost like he's protecting it now.
so.
No, I didn't even know he died, so I was trying to figure out, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that. But
Well, you remember
Phil,
the
yeah, with
the
his
accident
brother.
he was in back with Paul? It was like in the
I remember he was in a
75.
bad run, but I don't know
Real-
how bad. I don't know.
Those injuries never really.
Incorporated.
I
Yeah.
have a question. I felt like somebody was taking my eyeball out with a spoon, my left eye. Has anyone said anything about that? It was so
I have
painful.
had that same pain. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think the brother got shot in the eye.
We
which
weren't
would-
even here yet, you know, and but then when I
Yeah, but
walked outside
you're-
around the pond,
You're
my-
a psychic medium as
Yes.
well, right?
Yeah,
So
and I felt like
it makes sense.
almost like a spoon. It was like, oh my god, you know.
But
I
then
know it's
again,
not us.
I mean, who knows if those brothers, somebody could have had a glass eye and they scooped it out and sold it, you know?
I mean, it just felt that painful. Like, oh my
Yeah,
God,
they did a lot of
this
stuff
hurt.
like that.
They
back
did.
in the day.
When I was at Dunkirk Lighthouse, I kept getting a pain right in the middle of my head. It was unbearable. And don't you know, I found a helmet with a bullet hole right
Mm,
there.
mm, mm.
It was so cool.
Yeah, I had picked up on names mainly. The Mary and Laura.
I suck at names.
Yeah.
That seems to be like my specialty.
Never been a good,
Um,
except Friedrich, and he was very
I
distinct.
picked up a head. It was like a light brown, dark blonde head.
There is a little boy too.
And then I picked up on, in the car, we're coming here, and I feel this shoulder, or a hand go on my shoulder, the right hand, and it was a woman behind me, black hair, well, dark hair anyway. She had a white dress on to about right here.
That's Pearl.
Mhm.
What?
Is
She
that
was,
Pearl?
that's Pearl. She shows up at the pond and at the window in her white dress.
Really?
She's ready to talk. You, oh, look at my
me
goosebumps.
too. I got them too.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, yes.
Hello.
She's
Hello.
gonna be.
Hello.
When I jump,
Yeah.
I get a lot in dreams, and when I saw
Pearl.
Laura, she's like round faced.
She tried to tell me something in the car, but I couldn't
She,
understand what she was saying.
She told us, me and Jeff, about that story, but I couldn't recall her name. And I knew she.
Pearl?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I couldn't.
See, I thought you told me there was some like lady in the
Yeah.
water in the white, and I'm like, I
You
don't-
heard something over there?
They've all been hearing something.
Do you know
I didn't hear it though.
Niagara Paranormal was in here?
It's like
With that door.
Yeah.
I
the-
heard
Almost
something
sounds like
earlier.
a
The-
dead car door
I don't
sound.
know.
It was a little bit cooler. The front door was closed, but the back door I had propped open with that big stone because I was watching the fire. And we're all sitting in here, and I'm doing my spiel, and all of a sudden that door just
We're
slammed
gonna
shut,
go.
and we're like, how could that stone
I
have
heard
been
it
moved?
behind me.
That sounded like thunder out
It sounded like a gunshot. To
Yeah, I
me.
wrote it down in the car, and I got it in the car. What happened?
Another
Well, I
one,
picked
unless
up
it's
on. I
fireworks.
wrote
there.
it
It was
down.
like
I wish you could hug. I just want to hug you. I'm sorry.
Rocks on the
It's
side.
not that I
Sorry.
can't.
That
It's
might
just
be a bad
I get you.
you're a psychic medium, so maybe
I
it. Because
Totally.
I touched Jessica today.
That's
and
how I
couldn't
found
read
my
her, so
maid of
yay.
honor. I walked by her in the
Okay.
hall where
Are
we
you
were
gonna
working.
hug you now?
Yes.
I can. Oh, God love you. Oh, that feels so
Aw.
good. You know what you're supposed to do, though? I learned this in Salem. You're supposed to hug like this
That's right.
because you're heart to heart.
Right.
Isn't that so cool?
Yeah, she did. That's right.
I went to
Last
Salem
time.
Con.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Did you feel my energy? I can feel yours.
I know. It was like, you're going to have a crazy night. I always
I
know
think so,
coming
'cause
up
of
the
the
hill.
storm and then the black top. I don't think that was a good idea, to be honest.
What was the
Brian sunk it because it wasn't the blacktop that wasn't dry, it was the ground
No, I don't
underneath,
think
so
they
his
should
car
have
was
put
sinking.
any on there.
Why do you think? Is that
Why
I just
we
have a
end
bad
this here?
feeling about it. I